I knew they were coming to Ireland. I wasn't sure if it was Dublin or Cork or
Hmm.
Belfast again maybe, but yeah, I found out that they're coming to Dublin too. So what a better place for it, like unreal.
You're right, man. How many times have you fought in Dublin now? Because you've been around the block with the Bama shows as well. I think you had like five Bama shows in Dublin in the Tree Arena already, yeah?
I think this is my yeah this will be my sixth fight in the free arena, but I've had a load in Dublin. Like most of my career has been fought in Dublin.
Yeah.
I've been in hotels in Dublin. I've been in sports clubs in Dublin. And I think there's a common misconception here. It's like, oh, he's 27. He's maybe not as experienced. It's like
Mhm.
this is my 18th professional fight.
Yeah.
And I had 18 amateur as well, or 15 amateur. Like it's a lot of fights. Like and that experience stands by you. So
Mm.
like Paul Hughes always calls me like a young vet. And I used to find it funny at the start, but like no, I am pretty much a young vet. Like I've done a lot of things, a lot of ups and downs and peaks and valleys. But sure, that's what the whole thing is.
It is, man. But in a way, like I obviously before this interview, I was just kind of looking through just to kind of pinpoint some facts. But it's crazy how it's all kind of fell into place. Like obviously the UFC happened and everything with that, but then coming back from the UFC, having the one fight, then headline in Belfast, and now you're headlining in Dublin, and potentially with this win going back into the UFC, but in a complete different light.
Like I made my pro debut in the free arena. Fought a veteran that night. Won the world title, lost the world title. Made my way back up, went to the UFC, came back to Belfast where I was meant to fight. Now I'm doing a complete round trip to Dublin. So you know what? Like I don't know if I'm a believer in like stories coming full circle again, but flip me, it's going to make it for a hell of a book someday. And someday I write a book. This will be a very, very exciting chapter.
I don't think anyone reads books anymore. We'll get a documentary and a movie to support that now.
Yeah, a Netflix documentary.
Hey, yeah, listen, not even Netflix, RTE better start getting onto this. You know, Virgin and all of them, they're doing shows on everyone. They might as well get into the sport everyone wants to watch, you know?
Funny you say that. I remember when I fought John Redmond for my pro debut. I remember RT were following him at the time, and I remember how big a deal I thought that was. Like, I thought it was so. And I mean, it was pretty cool. Like, but it was even better to go out and chin him then.
I found it interesting, right? Obviously, your opponent, Jimmy Wallhead, has been around for years. I was going to say ages, but for years now. And you said that like his first pro fight was when you were 10 years old, yeah?
Yeah, true,
It's
yeah.
it's a mad one, isn't it? Isn't it crazy? Like, obviously, you had watched him, and obviously, you've seen his career unfold, whether you remember, you don't specifics. But looking back at it then and thinking about it now, fast forwarding it, it's a credit to him that he's still around. He's the interim champ. And in a way, it's nice for you to kind of carry that torch and be the next generation, no?
Oh, 100%. Like like he's got the t-shirt, he's wore it, he's got multiple t-shirts like that kind of vibe. Like he's done everything and he's done everything that we all want to do. So like how can you not respect him? And now he's coming around for one less hurrah who wants to unify the title. Like no, it's like a pretty cool story. Like, Jimmy Wall has been a name of MMA in Europe for years. So to get the chance to get in and step across from him and then go out and fight him and beat him, like it's a hell of a thing for me too.
Of course, of course. Obviously, before we kind of get into the fight, you've had a few obstacles to overcome and a few huge accomplishments in 2022 before you found out about the fight. Obviously, watching the fight, knowing who you're going to fight. Tell us more about that. I mean, I know Belfast. We can start at Belfast. I mean, Belfast was one of those magical moments. I think that photo you have with the crowd is probably one of the coolest photos I've seen in Irish MMA so far. I know Connor's walkouts are great when you walk down the Tree Arena, but that's up there. You know how did it feel for you? Because that was a war, my friend. That was a war.
You know what? I think they're the photos that you lie in bed, like, 10 weeks before the fight, thinking, I really would love to get a moment like this. And then like match it with an actual photo and be like, no, that was Belfast. That's not like like this is reality now. It's a special, special photo. Yeah, 2022 was crazy. It was a war. It's a hell of a fight. Learned a lot about myself, learned a lot about everything, but just a hell of a time. Like to fight in Belfast, to headline the arena that when I grew up we all wanted to go to and watch events, to be able to headline that and be the man on the poster, like unbelievable. And then to go and do it, like it's one thing to be on the poster.
Hmm.
You want to be in the winning poster. It's no good. Like just I'm not here to play my part in anything. I'm here to be the event, be the part of it. Not like I don't want to play a part. It's so important for me, and I think that's what some people forget. Like, oh, it'd be good to fight in Belfast. Listen, if I lost in Belfast, it would have been a shit show. Like I wouldn't have liked it at all.
I know,
Yeah.
man. I know, but look, overcoming those big events. I mean, you're a main event fighter, Rhys. Like every time you fight or there's rumors about you fighting, everyone gets excited, and you've proven time and time again, even when you've been knocked back, you've come back even stronger. So kind of reflecting on that 2022, obviously a lot had happened. With different promotion. Paul Hughes became the champion. It's great news all around for everyone involved in the sport, whether it's in Northern Ireland or Ireland itself. Did that give you a lot of time to kind of sit down and kind of even analyze it even more now? This is your second or third comeback now, as you would say. Tell us kind of in your words how them thoughts went and what were you going through the motions at that time.
As you said, this is probably like what some people could call my like second, third hurrah, maybe like my third run at it, and
Yeah.
like I mean, like for me, it's like I'm not really a guy to get caught up in like emotions of like how it feels or like I'm just very much go with the flow, keep beating people, keep putting people to sleep in the nicest way possible, and like
Mhm.
everything take care of itself. So like with talks with Cage Warriors, obviously made contact with the UFC. Got loads of offers from outside Europe, inside Europe, like loads of offers from pretty much any promotion in the world bar the UFC.
Really
And
nice.
yeah, yeah, of course. But for me, it was like, what do you want in the sport? It's like I want legacy. I want honor of going to the UFC again. Like I've been there, I haven't won there, so for me, I haven't been there yet. I'm not one of these fighters. I'm not fighting for a paycheck, and I mean that in the most respectful way. Like I
Hmm.
have it. Like fighting's helped me set up a life where I'm like stable. I'm not fighting because I need something. I'm not a desperate fighter, and I think that's the reason I fight so free. And I fight like I'm not like one of these people like if I lose my life's over because it's not like it's just a fight. But
Hmm.
like I think that's a real power in my arsenal that people will never be able to like. Nobody can take that away from you. Like, I
Yeah.
remember I was talking to a good friend before a fight, and he said it was when I fought Perry Goodwin. He said to me, "And remember, if you don't lose, it doesn't matter." And I was like, I took that really personal. I was like, "What do you mean? Like, I'm going here to win? Like, we can't even speak about losing." He was like, "No, no. Like, win or lose, you're going to come back and do the exact same things. You're going to eat the Chinese after. You're going to come home. You're going to do all the same stuff." And you know what? It's so true. And it's the same for me. Like I have power and having a life set up when I fight, I'm truly free. Like there's no what if. Like it's just let's fight.
A lot of people can get caught up in the moment, and sometimes they peak too fast, and then they don't really know how to handle their emotions, and then everything comes to shit. It happens. Do you think that part of yourself is that something that you've learned over time, or was that something that you just happen to have that skill and that asset to be able to do that yourself throughout your career?
I've always been mature. Like you'll always hear people saying like, "Oh, he's ahead of his time," or like, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe like a 35-year-old compared to a 27-year-old. But I just think like I've had a lot of experiences in life and fighting. And at times I did want everything too fast. Like when I was like people don't know this, but when I was an amateur fighter, like I was asking Rodney every week, "Can I go pro? Can I go pro? Can I go pro? I want to fight this guy, this guy, this guy." And like I skipped my amateur career because I was looking forward to pro so much. But now that I'm here and like fighting for world titles and defending world titles, it's like no, just like this is the journey. Like this is the fun part. This is the good part. Like,
Yeah.
and I say to any young fighters, like you have all these aspirations of getting to the UFC, but like where you are right now is as good as the UFC. And I mean that, like, as much as I relish and look forward to going back to the UFC, like I wouldn't prepare any different. Not much would change other than how people look at you in the outside world. Like, oh, he's in the UFC or he's in Cage Warriors. It's the only thing that changes, but
Mm-hmm.
everything's the same. So getting back to your point, it's like I think I've learned that patience and just enjoy the moment because like I have the experience of knowing like it's not much different.
Look, it's a beautiful thing to see because, like you said, you're so free inside the cage and then so calm outside the cage. I mean, even after that foul, I remember you were walking into the back and you were just kind of taking your time and, not. I've seen people walk out of that cage at Belfast jumping up and down, or really, really sad. For you, it's just kind of like, okay, I'm going to go into the back, chill out. I think that's one of your like assets, I should say, where people are attracted to you, because we are all attracted to this quiet guy. We're all attracted to the crazy guy, but the guy in the middle no one really talks about. And that's the dangerous guy, because he knows when to turn that switch on and turn that switch off. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, like for sure, like, and that's the thing, as I always say to people, and this is, I've been saying this one to a lot to people. I sound like a philosopher here, but I'm not. Like, I was saying to someone like, it doesn't matter, like if you go in the gym and you have a bad day in the gym and you get choked out by someone,
Yeah.
you know that you're a game day fighter, and like I know, like come the night when we step into a cage, any cage, and the fight starts, like I know I'm one of the best in the world, like, and that is it. I do not care about my performance in a gym. Like I know for a fact, for instance, Justin Burlinson was much more skilled in certain areas, but when it comes to the fight and the live action of a fight, there's not many people in the world that'll beat me. Remember, he came out in the third and shot that takedown, and I got a good defense and brought him back up.
Mm.
And I for some reason I just knew, like once that like changed, like, and people always say you see people's heart drop, and I'm not saying I seen his break or drop, but like
Yeah.
I knew when I defended that takedown in the third that like this is probably going to be it. And then again, then it does go fast. We had a bit of an interaction, a bit of head control, and yeah, I love leading like off the break with stuff like that. And like when people always say about the touch of death and stuff, and I'm not sure, but I know for sure that hands put a lot of people to sleep. So
Mhm.
I knew when I went down, I knew the fight was over, and I'm actually relieved that the shot missed on the way down. Like I threw the shot at him and it missed, and I'm probably relieved it did. But
Yeah.
like it's very fast. Like it's very fast when it happens, but at the same time, it's the most peaceful part as well, because like even though as a fighter, you're confident you're going to win, you know you're going to win whatever way you want to dab it up.
Hmm.
Like it's nice when you actually get the win and you're like, right, it's actually done now, it's sealed. Like when you hear the ref being like, stop, stop, like no more, and that's when you know it's official. So like it's always a nice moment. But for me, it was like, let's get into the cage here, or into the crowd. I wanted the crowd surf in Belfast,
Yeah.
uh, so it was very much that was the next mission.
When it comes to being the main event fighter and being the face on the poster, when it comes to that added pressure, like, is that, I know it doesn't affect you, but is that hard to manage leading up to fight week? Because I'm guessing Belfast is one thing, but now going into Dublin is going to probably be even more of a thing. I'm not to diss it in any way, but like you said yourself, tickets in Dublin at the moment are selling like it's going to be a sold out arena. But if this is on track to do so well, and with the numbers everyone's seeing and the way everyone's talking about, you're essentially seeing an even bigger event than the Bellator event. So how do you manage that?
Yeah, like so the whole pressure thing, and like I've always been, as a kid, I always liked the big moments. I always like the show off moments. I like when my name's on the poster. I like, if I get to be the one on stage performing, then I liked it. And that's me just being honest. And I used to never see people used to be embarrassed to say this, but now it's trendy to say it, I suppose. I've always liked the attention. So
Yeah.
like my only danger on any of these moments is like to get too excited too early.
Mm-hmm.
That's my only danger. Like, people are saying, "Oh, I know the storyline for this fight is going to be, oh, there's no pressure in Jimmy and it's all on you. He's the hometown boy. Will he go to the UFC?" Listen, no chance. It's a non-pressure environment. I get the headline, my third show in Ireland. Third Cage Warriors headline in a row, in Ireland. Where's the pressure? I'm winning. I've won. Like, you know what I mean? So it's just a hell of a good time for me. And my only thing is like just make sure not to get too excited too early. But like I think my performance in Belfast showed that like you can you have the fight to win. You don't let the occasion take over, and if the occasion takes over, you're doomed.
Yeah.
People look at adrenaline dumps. People look at fighting like a madman, fighting the wrong fight. It didn't happen in Belfast, and it sure as hell ain't going to happen in Dublin.
It's a cool way of looking at it, bro. It is a cool way of looking at it. Because again, like, you're going to have different people saying different things. Everyone's going to try to create a narrative for it. That's their narrative. You have your view. And it's cool to hear it from you.
Whole career, like you could ask me any fight in my career, and I could tell you what the storyline for it was. Like it's always been a thing. Like it's
Yeah.
always a thing. So it's no different. And before any fight, I like to call the narrative. I like to be like, this is the narrative for this one, and I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure I'm right on it. And we'll start to hear it soon. So I've been back from the injury for probably about 9 for about 9 weeks now. Like back full training. Like obviously I
Yeah,
was reading and doing what I could. So I've been back for about 9 weeks. And like we're 14 weeks out now. Like I wouldn't say people like, as fight camp started and all. It's like
yeah.
I'm just training at the minute. Like I
Mm,
think probably that 12 weeks we'll start getting more specific. But like
yeah,
I've never been big in the whole vibe. There's definitely positions that like we want to like work on and positions we want to be aware of and stuff like that. But
yeah,
I mean, like the fight comes on me to be honest, and like my own preparation's key. Like, but probably that 8 or 10 week mark we get more specific. But the real answer is I'm always preparing for a fight.
yeah. Yeah. And that seems to be the case lately because I remember, they used to make such a big, even promoting fights, they used to make such a big deal about fight camps, bringing people in for fight camps and all. And it seems like over the last 2, 3 years, even with the COVID and everything, everyone's like, we train all year round. A fight camp just means I'm fighting someone in 8 weeks. I just tailor certain preparations towards that. Seems to be the winning way. I mean, you
Like
win.
the only thing that the things that'll change is like, for example, if I normally train with a 6'2" middleweight, I'll maybe now look for like a 5'10" kind of welterweight weight kind of body shape. That's it. Like my main rounds will be done against a similar body type, opposed to just any round. Like, but like not much changes. Like my life doesn't look much different. Like,
Of course.
it's all the same.
I like it, man. I like it, and it shouldn't be like that. If it works for you, there's no point. There's no point changing. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. Like, and you have people telling you all the time, like, "Oh, you need to do this, you need to do that," and it's like I trust my own process now, and
Yeah.
I've good coaches around me, I have good training partners, and
Mm,
like they're the people I listen to.
I like it, man. And you've been training with the same people. I mean, obviously, there's people join, people leave, but it's pretty much the same core group since the very start, right?
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. The same 3 or 4 people there. There's been about 100 people that have probably came in and out in the last,
Yeah.
the last flipping 12 years, but um, yeah, it's been the same, pretty much the same bunch and the same trusted people since day one.
Hmm. In that same interview with Andy, you did mention you'd like, instead of having these fight of the night performances, you like to just go in there, get it out of the way. Because last two fights ended in the third round, so you got your minutes in. There's no shortage of cage time there at all.
Yeah, you're right. I never thought about that. And like
Yeah,
even the fight before that with Morano was 3 rounds as well. Like I enjoy getting time in. Like I'm not
yeah.
one of these players that like I don't need a quick finish. Like I really, really, really enjoy the fight. So like I've no sense of like I need to be home by 1 o'clock here or anything like that.
Yeah.
Um but like yeah, I said I want performance of the night, not fight of the night. This is for me the reason this fight's so exciting and the reason I wanted this one is the last time I come up against an experienced opponent. It was Alex Morano, and I
Hmm.
felt short on experience.
Yeah.
Like how much I've learned from that fight has been like, it's been mental. So now I'm looking forward to going in against an even more experienced opponent and doing what I know I can do. So this
Hmm.
is a big test for me. Like this is an inner fight for me. It's not
Hmm.
really. It is about Jimmy, of course, but like for me, I look at it as another experienced opponent to try and pass this test on. And once I overcome this test, it's just a sign that I should only be in the UFC.
Okay. And do you think this is going to be the final fight? I mean, you have to put on these gloves like 6 times now. Well, it will be the 6th time, right? The yellow gloves, the famous yellow gloves. You're like a cage warrior. You're a Bama vet and you're a cage warriors vet, eh?
Yeah, actually, I know this stat about Bama. Colin Rom or what do you call him, Freak Show Fletcher.
Mm.
He's the only person with more fights in Bama than me.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because it's finished like 4 years. Yeah, this is the last fight with Cage Wars. I would believe so anyway. Like,
Hmm.
I can imagine what would be left to accomplish unless I got and knock on for the middleweight belt or something. I'm not too sure, but
Yeah.
uh,
Double champ.
yeah, yeah, I don't know. But this is I believe this is the performance goes the way I know it will, and this will be my last one.
Okay, man, cool. And in terms of the talks with UFC, obviously they're confidential, but like, is there kind of like an idea of best case scenario where you're gonna slot in? Because I mean, I understand, there's a lot of experienced fighters in your division, but it doesn't really make sense for you to go and fight bottom feeders, because the level you're fighting at now will slot somewhere in the top 15, top 10 in the UFC. No,
Sure.
how is that the conversation where it's going? Like, do you think, going into the UFC, you'll try crack straight into the ranks, or how is that?
I know when I go back to the UFC this time, I'll not be fighting like, I'll not be fighting someone in their UFC debut, I believe. I'll be fighting
Okay.
some, top 20, top 25 maybe. And that's like, in my record, after this fight, 13-4-1 at the minute, it's 12-4-1. Like, that's a heavy record. Like, you watch a UFC card and, your main events for the world title is less fights than that. And not that it's all experience based, but like it's a good winning record. So I know when I go back into the UFC, I'm going to be fighting them big names, and that's what I want. I don't want to go in and fight, someone who nobody knows. I want to go in and fight the guys where it's like, is that your first fight and back in? And I'm like, yep, that's exactly who it is. That's what I want.
Do you have your eyes kind of on one or two people who would be your kind of perfect kickstart to the UFC?
I've thought about this a few times. I know it's out of my control, but I'd like to fight like Nico Price. I think, that
Nice.
biggest fight, or the boy that beat Nico Price. I'm not sure his name, but that guy. Um, it's not something I'm hugely concerned of, like,
Mhm.
because I know how much can change, especially in the UFC with visas and where you fight and
Yeah.
whatever. So,
Mm.
um, I'll genuinely fight whoever. Like, I would rather a top name, but who knows? But at the minute, like, I got to get past Jimmy first, and
That's
then
it. That's it. I was actually going to close off the argument. I didn't want it to kind of look past them. It was just kind of like, one of those things. Because obviously, as like every human, man, when you have 3 steps ahead of you, you're like, you're going to prepare for the second and third step as a possibility that you go by the first step. You know what I mean?
absolutely, and like, I'd be a liar to say that I haven't thought about what happens after this. I'm also would be a liar if I said I haven't thought about what if someone comes up for 18th of March in London. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but like all eyes are strictly on Jimmy, but yeah, who knows what will happen.
Okay, okay. I like it, man. I like it. So just before we let you go, obviously we need a little soundbite promo to promote the fight. Well, to promote the fight, to get people excited. Why should we be excited to go and attend this fight? There's already excited people, but why should we be extra excited to attend this fight, my man?
I think the chance to watch Rhys McKee headline in Dublin is something that, we're probably not going to have the chance to see for many, many years, so while he can come out and watch me fight against someone who's a legend of MMA, especially in the UK, then why would you not come? This is uh, people that are coming off knockouts in their career. They're going to clash heads and unify a world championship belt. What more do you want than in the free arena? So if you ain't coming to this one, then you shouldn't go to any of them.
I like it. Short, sweet, and to the point. Right. Lovely, man. And just before I let you go, right, I actually like to ask this question. It was part of my original fucking episode. So during your time, whether it was at amateur, pro, and all of that, there's obviously been a select bunch of people, whether it's outside or inside the gym, that have been with you along the way. And we don't necessarily hear about them because obviously they're not going to be part of the poster like you are and whatever. I always like to kind of take the end of the interview to kind of give those people a special thank you because it is a big event, it's a huge event, and these are the people that are helping you go through this roller coaster and come to the point where you are now. Who are those people for Rhys McKee?
I'm blessed. Like, I've got so many. Obviously, I've got like Rebecca, the wife, who's
Mhm.
she has played a more obvious part in it. But like, I mean, you're talking like Mark Andrew, who like, I've grew up with. Spent the last 12 years as his immediate training partners. Like, I think he's probably a massive part to the secret sauce and like the success story. And he's probably the first person to hear me complain on the days I'm tired. And you
Yeah.
know, he probably listens to me talking for about on hours and hours and how I'm going to beat certain people. And yeah, I would say he deserves the secret sauce mention at the minute. And he's playing a big part in this fight camp too, and he'll be in the corner. So, yeah, it'd be hard to not think of him as someone that maybe hasn't got the attention that they deserve.
Okay. Nice.